They get introduced. Poison, I think, is playing Unskinny Bob. And I say I think because who knows what the fuck CC was playing.
It was announced that CC DeVille had been fired again from Poison and replaced with Tracy Guns.
Oh, shit. That's right. Fuck, sorry.
Everything Poison did, they did to the next level, which was Kiss-esque.
How did these kids from fucking, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania go, you know what? We're going to move to Los Angeles and we're going to fucking take over that town.
I'm a huge CC apologist, so, I mean, he could, take a poop on a plate and I'd be like, oh, it's fantastic.
The guy looked like a rock god. I mean, he had those fucking abs that wouldn't quit.
Holiwierd. What the actual fuck?
Who hasn't been drunk and wasted and at 3 o'clock in the morning thought, you know who would like to hear from me? My ex-girlfriend.
As much as his guitar player Pete Evick likes to sit there and say, oh, he's not making more money out of this. The fuck he isn't.
Then again, there's something to say for sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
And just have an opportunity to sleep with more women than the guru here.
I truly believe in my heart of hearts that Poison has one fantastic record left in them.
Speaking of the guru girls, I'm not to brag, but in the 90s, I laid more pipe than Fargo Plumbing. Just saying.
Good for you, man. We're proud of you.
The hair metal guru, from Warren to Crew. The hair metal guru, never forget Charlie too.
Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. And holy shit, look, I figured out how to do the cool background. So I got a Hair Metal Guru background. Anyway, I have my pals Jeremy and Patrick here to talk Poison, if you couldn't tell by our shirts and our backgrounds, because it is time for Poison to come up in the 10 things I think about video category. And part of the reason that we are doing this today, which is March 19th, 2025, is that tomorrow I am interviewing Ricky Rocket from Poison for the channel. So super pumped about that. So anyway, 10 things I think about Poison. With that, let's meet our contestants. First, we got Jeremy, my brother from another mother from North Dakota, the drummer for the band Abrasion. Jeremy, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and doing a new show with a new guest, Patrick. It's an honor being on with you. I watched the Motley Crue video, and I can't wait to mix things up with you here tonight, man.
Right on, brother.
Awesome. And yes, we have Patrick Reeves, and didn't you say you're from Vermont?
I am. From
Patrick,
the land of maple syrup.
Yeah. And Patrick has now been on he was on the Motley Crue video. We've got another video in the can that I got to work on editing. Did a video about the Unreal Hall of Shit that Patrick sent me. I shouldn't say it shit. It was unbelievable vinyl and stuff. So appreciative of that. Patrick, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, brother. I'm just jazzed to be here with Jeremy and you. I've watched so many of Jeremy's videos. I'm dying to hear Abrasion. Thank God before this video started, he told me where to find it because I've searched the internet. But right on, man. I'm jazzed. Talking Poison was my first love of music. It was the first cassette tape I ever bought. Was Look What the Cat Dragged In. So this is an honor to be on my favorite show and to talk about one of my absolute favorites. So thank you.
And you're absolutely right. And I've always said, I mean, whether you liked Poison's music or not, I think that if you think of the term hair metal, the first band that comes to your mind is Poison. So they've been begging for a 10 things I think video. And hey, before I get into that, hey, follow me on X at Hair Metal Guru. And every Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time, I host Hair Metal Mansion on Rock 101 KLOL. The link is in the description. So, and I will also put Patrick's X account. Please follow him. Join us in the conversation. There's a bunch of us always talking hair metal. Jeremy hasn't quite joined X yet. I keep encouraging him, but he is a teacher and he is from North Dakota. So he just got indoor plumbing recently. So he's still trying to figure out how to sign up for social media. Just fucking with you. I'm also in North Dakota. So, and as I get into that, Charlie needs to come in because she's out making content for her OnlyFans.
There you go.
So for $9.99 a month, you can sign up for that. And Charlie, here, come say hi. Yeah, you got big boobies. That's right.
It says they're the best 8 boobies in town.
Yeah. 8 boobies. And yeah, so you get shit for one price, you get 4 times the amount of boobies. All right. So, Poison 10 things I think, and I think we're going to go this route. We're going to go Patrick, Jeremy, myself. I'm dying to hear what you guys got. Patrick, what is your number 10 thing you think?
Number 10 for me is I think the biggest tragedy in all of Poison's history is that Crack a Smile wasn't released on time when it was recorded and released, should have been released in 95. It's a fan. I know where you stand on it because I watched your ranking, if you
Yep.
will.
Yep.
And it's okay that you got one wrong here, but
Yes.
it's a great record. I think if you put yourself, you can't count it as 2002. You know, like you just can't put it there. Or I'm sorry, 2000. You can't release it then and think of it in those terms. If you think of it as coming out in the summer of 95 like it was supposed to, it would have been the perfect combo of classic Poison with a flair for that current time. And the beauty of I think Crack a Smile and where it would have had it, I'm not implying it would have gone platinum or gold or anything like that.
Right.
I think it would have on a much similar success level as Bon Jovi these days.
Mm-hmm.
These days had that Something for the Pain video was in rotation on VH1 and a little bit on MTV. It had a positive tone. If they had come out with like Tragically Unhip as the first single that could have been out there saying, you know, flying the flag of this is who we are. We're not afraid of it. It had some current sounds to it. They definitely experimented in it. Blue Saraceno is an amazing guitar player. You know, I'm not. I'm not implying it would have gone gold or platinum, but it would have charted. It would have had some exposure, a heck of a lot more than it had. It's a tragedy that it came out in 2000 because number one, they'd reunited with CC already. The band didn't want to promote it. Ricky even said in an interview back in 2000, it's like we didn't want to promote it because it's like looking back at a relationship you had that didn't work. Why do you want to go out and promote something, especially when we're off, you know, years later doing something else? So
Yeah.
it didn't get the shake it should have. It's a fantastic record. That's my number 10.
I would have loved, and I've said I think a cool video topic would be like, what are 10 moments where you wish you could have been a fly on the wall? Like some
Yeah.
we were talking about like, oh, you know, the first time Brian Johnson opened up his copy of Back in Black, or you know, when Janie Lane walks into the record to Columbia and sees the
Oh, she's the
chains
Alice in
and goes
Chains.
into top, so stuff like that. But when Poison is told, hey, they submit this album, and the record company's like, no,
We'll put 2 songs out on the greatest hits.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
can you imagine the devastation?
Oh,
You just
yeah.
went through all the the songwriting. You got this new guitar player. You're like, okay, fuck. Here's we've gone triple platinum, quintuple, or whatever, 5 times platinum, triple. And then we went gold in '93, and
Yeah.
now you don't even want to release our shit.
Right.
It must have been a wild ride too, because Blues was Bobby and Ricky's choice to be the guitar player, where Richie was Bret Michaels' choice.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was just such a bad situation. And you know, I watched an interview with Blues. Blues rarely talks. Nobody talks about the Crack a Smile record, and at least from that band. And hearing Blues finally, you know, 20 years later, giving his take on it and saying, you know, look, I had them bent over a barrel. They had no choice. They had to hire me because they weren't going to find somebody to do the South American tour that quickly. And then it went so well that they said, okay, let's record some songs. But he said it was all business. There was no friendships there.
Right.
There was really no relationship. You know, it's not like it was bad, but Blues is a pretty hyperactive guy and the rest of the band wasn't. So
Yeah.
just wouldn't have been a good fit anyway. But boy, they made some good songs.
Yep.
I gotta revisit it. I when I first heard it, I was like, eh. And now it's been forever since I've listened to it. So, all right, Jeremy, what's your number 10?
I tell you what, I'm going to switch up my number 10 because I'm going to go right off what you're saying there, Patrick. I don't know if you know how I feel about Crack a Smile, but I agree. Uh, I don't know if people just were too quick to pass over it or not address the album. I freaking love it. I think there's some great stuff on there. But I'll take it a step further. I think Poison, since they already missed it, they didn't release it when they were supposed to. It came out way too late. It came out with no fanfare, came out with no promotion. They should have said to hell with it. Let's hold on a little bit. Let's get CC back in the band, re-record these songs with his guitar tone with him, and instead of putting out the shit show that was Holiwierd, they should have had CC playing these songs and released Crack a Smile with CC's solos, with everything. Not to knock blueses at all, but just saying they were riding the high of a sensational world tour. They were one of the biggest live bands at that time. That was kind of the resurgence of hair metal bands going back on the road and touring and doing all that. I think they could have captured lightning in a bottle there and said, nobody even knows this Crack a Smile exists. We own the music rights. Let's just re-record this bad boy. Let's add Face the Hangman. Let's put that sucker on there. Let's beef this up and let's release it. In what year did Holiwierd come out? I don't even know. I don't have it.
201. Yeah, 01.
01. And let's be honest, guys. Everything from the sound quality of that shit show to the songs, for me, is nothing. So if they would have put Crack a Smile out instead of Holiwierd, I think they really could have kind of captured some of that electricity that they were getting on the road. Because, like you just said, Patrick, Crack a Smile has at least 7 or 8 banger tunes, if not more.
Holiwierd was 02. I'm sorry. It was
02. Okay.
But the reason why they put all that unplugged crap and the demos on like Hangman and whatnot on that.
Yeah.
To combat the freaking bootleg that was out for years.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, it was all on that. All of that was on the bootleg. So why would you buy the new version if you could get the bootleg with that? So they threw it all on there.
I gotcha. But yeah, that's what I think. I think they should have just shelved it for a couple more years because nobody even knew it really came out anyway. It was like an afterthought, kind of like Kiss's Carnival of Souls, and then just put it out with CC on it, repackage it, make it a big deal to go with the tour, and see what happens.
Great.
That's what I wish would have happened.
I have in my not honorable mentions, but one of my possibilities, something on Holiwierd, and I just put it in there in case somebody steals one of mine. I can use it. But I have many thoughts on Holiwierd, so I won't get into it now, but maybe it'll come up later.
Holiweird's going to wind up like Generation Swine.
Right?
Yes. Okay. All right. My number 10. I think the craziest live TV experience ever was Poison performing the 1991 MTV Video Music Awards. Arsenio Hall is hosting. CC DeVille has pink hair. Even before they played, CC ended up showing up in an interview and he's out of his fucking mind. Then they get introduced. Poison, I think, is playing Unskinny Bop. And I say I think because who knows what the fuck CC was playing. Brett was singing some Unskinny Bop lyrics. I'm shocked that Brett was able to still kind of smile and shit and look like he was playing without just wanting to go punch CC in the face. Anyway, CC is strutting around doing something. The band and Arsenio are confused as shit. And then it's like they stop. Arsenio reintroduces them. Then they go into Talk Dirty to Me. And still, it's horrible the way he's playing. Then his guitar gets unplugged. It's the most epic shit show I've ever seen. There's multiple videos about it out on YouTube, and it's completely not a surprise that the band broke up after this. I've never seen anything like it.
I couldn't agree more. That was such a disaster. I think he and Brett went to blows behind the stage. They freaking went fisticuffs, and that was it, man. And I don't blame Poison for kicking him out. I mean, that was an embarrassment among embarrassments, and that was a time where they had to prove themselves. The hair metal scene was disappearing, and then they go out and lay that turd on national TV.
And part of the hatred towards the hair metal thing was like, oh well, they're just all about looks and they can't play. Well then, Poison, who is grown into a really good live band, but they go out there and it's like, oh fuck, yeah, we're right. They can't play. And so yeah, they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory there.
They
It's
did.
funny because in the months leading up to that 91 performance at the MTV Awards, there had been reports that there were problems.
Yep.
Brett had gone on. There used to be a show, I can't remember what it was called, on MTV with Martha Quinn as the interview person, and callers could call in and ask questions. And then right before the MTV Awards, probably like a month or two, he had been on there, and he had said, well, if people want to stay in this band, they're going to get healthy. And he was talking about Bobby getting sober and Cece getting off drugs.
Yeah.
And then they show up to the MTV Awards, and in the pre-show, Brett even said, "Oh, Poison's not breaking up. We're great. We're happy. We're good on him to put on. They've always put on a positive
And
face.
Cece showed up during that interview.
He did. He jumped in and put.
They
his
were
arm
like, "Yep, we're good."
Yeah, and it really, good on them for always putting on a happy face. No band is always happy. I'm sure Jeremy can tell you that. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of putting on a happy face for the PR piece, and it's a real travesty because that's the flagship band for that genre, and it was hard as a teenager watching that and not understanding what was going wrong. We looked at them. I was probably in 8th grade when that happened, and I remember thinking, well, those are my heroes on stage, and standing in line at the bus the next morning was everybody saying, oh my God, they were terrible.
Yeah.
And what was Prince wearing?
Right.
I hear you.
Okay. And shit, little did we know that if CC came out with pink hair now, it would be pretty acceptable. But back then,
badass.
it was like pretty. What the fuck are you doing? Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on to our number 9s. And Patrick, what's your number 9?
One of the things, if you follow me on X, this is something that I talk about regularly because it is the one thing in the world that I'd pay $1 million for. I wish most that CC DeVille's Needle Park would have come out with an album. It was his project after he got kicked out of Poison. It had a kick-ass lineup. Kelly Hansen, who's the current Foreigner singer. James Kotak was the drummer. You had Tommy Fredrickson at one point and Jimmy Bain, the Dio bass player. I mean, it had everything going for it. CC got a big deal from Holiwierd Records. And what wound up killing it was they had recorded demos, and Kelly Hansen was in the studio one day recording, and the A&R guy brought in people from Holiwierd Records and said, "Oh, don't worry about how it sounds. Just do what you're doing." And he was having an off day recording. I mean, this is Kelly Hansen. He's an amazing singer.
Yeah.
And he had a little bit of an off day, and CC showed up, and he was really out of it when he showed up, and they lost the deal on the spot. One thing I do want to point out to people is a lot of people sit there and go, oh, well, something did come out from Needle Park. It was that Hey Good Looking song that CC did with Spike. That was not Needle Park. Right. CC DeVille lived with Spike Spike lived with CC in CC's house for a long time. And when he'd lost that deal, he was kicking and screaming to get at least something. And they offered to put that on the Son-in-Law soundtrack. And so he asked Spike, because he was there, if he'd sing on it. I think it's a kick-ass cover myself.
Yeah.
But, I'm a huge CC apologist. So, I mean, he could, take a poop on a plate and I'd be like, oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
That'll be in the reel at the beginning.
Yeah. I was just thinking, okay, mark that down. Wasn't Joey C. Jones from, I just interviewed Chris Sheridan from
Yes.
fucking Sweet Savage. Joey C. Jones was a part of that project for a little bit. I don't know.
Some of the Glory Hounds guys wound up in it. It kind of mimics that Needle Park project kind of mimics the Steven Adler Bane Road Crew project in that it had the same problems. Just when things were going the way it should, drug problems would kill it. And so, the one thing is I actually met CC DeVille in 2001 after a Poison show at Jones Beach Arena. And I got about 7 to 10 seconds with him. And I said, it's really nice to meet you. What can you tell me about Needle Park?
And he probably said, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, he looked at me and he went, "Oh my God!" And then he said, "You know what? I wish I had news on that." But he goes, "Hollywood Records owns everything, and they took it all. They have it all."
Dang.
So, I will say though, the cool thing about CC is that if you ask him a question, he'll tell you. But the problem is getting in front of him. He doesn't do interviews, and he's silent now. But
Yeah.
So if anybody out there in the internet world has the Needle Park thing and wants to make $1 million, let me know.
Yeah, Patrick's got it. He's got it in a briefcase. I
I
saw.
don't have $1 million, but I'll do anything for it.
Well, okay, but I'm going to just take it a step further, Patrick. Where does Samantha 7 fit in the fold? Because I thought Samantha 7 was the band who did the son-in-law tune, and I've never heard of this needlepoint. Kelly
later.
Hansen with Cece. Oh my God.
Well,
Guru, did you
Metal
know
Edge
about
had
this?
pictures. Metal Edge had pictures of Needle Park and interviews of them and all that stuff. Cece's got this wild blue hair in the interviews and shit. But Samantha 7 was a completely different project. He had started doing that. That had Adam Hamilton in it and oh man, Francis something or Frank Rui or something like that. Some other guy was in it with him, and then that fell apart when it was touring. And you know who was in that touring with him? That Ty Longley guy that died in the Great White Fire.
Yes.
He was in it.
Great White.
And another member of Great White played on the touring version of it. But it's good. I don't hate that Samantha 7 record. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it because I like punk, and it's very pop punkish.
Absolutely.
It's very CC DeVille, that's for sure.
Yep.
It is.
So yeah, I remember seeing Needle Park in the magazines too, and CC looked like he is. I mean, I think that's during CC's fucking heavy addiction days. He looked just like he was lost.
Yeah.
Blue hair. He weighed about 30 pounds.
Yeah. He wore a lot of white makeup on his face.
Yes. He looked like The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I do know he went on the radio. I can't find it anywhere, but he went on the radio at one point in LA and played a demo, and he got in a lot of trouble with Hollywood Records for doing it. So.
Damn.
All right, let's move on to Jeremy. What's your number 9?
All right. I was going to use my shirt, but I'm going to actually use Patrick, what he's got in his background there. Yeah, absolutely. Aside from Kiss, AC/DC, I'm going to put them aside because they're not technically 80s hair metal. So when you're talking 80s hair metal, I think the most recognizable logo in 80s hair metal is the Poison logo. You've got the P, you've got the S that sways underneath, you've got the N coming up and around. I think so many bands tried to emulate that. Steel Panther, most recently, they have so many different facets of the Poison logo in their same logo. And what else I love about the Poison logo, the colors, the setting, the way it's all set up, they never deviated. Like Motley Crue had a different logo on every album cover. Cinderella stuck with theirs, but Warrant, they had a different logo. Yeah. I love that Poison stuck with this and that it is so freaking recognizable. Whether you even have listened to 80s hair metal or have never, you know who this is and you know what it represents. I think they have the most recognizable 80s hair metal logo out there.
And shit, I'm just going to add on. Remember what Skid Row did with their logo during the Subhuman Race?
Yep.
Block letters with the silhouette of the old logo in it. Yeah.
Yes.
I liked that.
Oh,
you did?
Chris.
I did. But I love everything Subhuman Race. So.
Okay. So this was gonna come up later, but this is my comment about your thing. So when I interviewed Chris Sheridan, he's like, so we go to LA in like '85, and he said, you couldn't, everywhere you looked, it was Poison neon green, that logo. And he said, our singer, Joey C. Jones, said it best. He said, they painted the town poison. You could not escape it. So while their music, is what got them over the top, that logo and their work ethic and their willingness to go and put that fucking thing everywhere so you could not get away from Poison. So you're completely right. Utterly recognizable. That neon green, I still fucking love it. I've always kind of wanted to get a tattoo of it somewhere, but anyway. So
no, I agree, man. I agree. And then you got Native Tongue. not only was the album a huge departure, but they didn't go neon green. They kept the logo, but they went dark with that native tongue cover. And it just didn't have the same fun factor, if you will. I hate to be so corny, but it lost the fun factor without having that neon green with it.
Yep. Yep. Okay. My number 9. I still think that the greatest ballad in hair metal history has got to be Every Rose Has Its Thorn. From that, even I love that dramatic sigh at the beginning. As soon as I hear that, I kind of start getting goosebumps, and I love that soft acoustic strum. And you got to remember, in '88, that was very different for a ballad. Most ballads were the big power ballad with all sorts of electric guitars, and that fucking almost cowboy western fucking acoustic was so different. And then CC's solo in it, and I'm usually not a guy who's like, oh yeah, I think about solos. That solo, the solo in I Remember You from Skid Row, I think are two of the best solos. But that magical chorus, every rose has its thorn, just like every night has its dawn. Just like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. I love that line. And it was the only Poison song to go to number 1. There were not many hair metal songs, outside of Def Leppard or Motley Crue. Because I think Motley Crue went to number 1 Without You. I think Def Leppard went to number 1 with Brian's favorite song, Love Bites. But Poison went to number 1 with Every Rose, and I completely see why. I don't get tired of that song. Every Rose Has Its Thorn is the greatest ballad in hair metal history.
Wow. Yeah, what I'll say to that is I like the song, but I wouldn't agree that it's one of the greatest. However, I'm just not going to go there. I do agree with you on the acoustic piece, though, Guru. I remember listening to that in '88 when it came out in my mom and dad's car sitting in the parking lot of Kirkwood Mall. And both my brother and I, my brother Brandon was the biggest Poison fan I've ever known. Probably still is. We thought it was a country song. We thought it was a remake.
Sure.
We were even looking to find out because you heard that acoustic and everything. I'm like, they did a country cover? I'm like, who did this originally? So then we're looking through it and everything, and it's got the lyrics, and it doesn't give credit to anybody. So you are spot on. That was groundbreaking for a ballad to start out that way in 1988. I couldn't agree more. Don't agree that it's number 1 ballad. However, the video, you can't deny the power of the video, man. The imagery is unbelievable.
My favorite videos are those ones that show you the highs and lows of the road, like Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi. Faithfully by Journey is a great video, but Every Rose, you're absolutely right. One of my favorite videos of all time. So
absolutely,
I love that song.
My favorite part is when Bobby Doll's
exactly
carried off the stage.
Yes,
like this. Yeah, it looks like a marionette. Yeah, he really does.
Up his head.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck. And I can relate that. That's basically me in the 90s. So, all right. That was my number 9. We're moving on to our number 8. Patrick, what's your number 8?
I think that Poison missed a great opportunity to connect with its fans by doing anniversary tours for their first 3 albums, including going out, playing the first record top to bottom, and then sprinkling the hits in at the end. They're kind of one of the only bands in the genre who didn't do that. They could have done what Twisted Sister did and put the makeup back on, get out there, have a similar stage show to what they had in '86. They could have brought the bands out there that they toured with, Cinderella, Quiet Riot, all those bands, as back as I don't remember if Cinderella was still together in '16 or not. I don't think they were. I think they
it was around 14. Yeah. 14 that they broke up.
But they could have done, they could have brought Kiefer out. They could have brought, any of those people out, and done, tours to celebrate those albums instead of just going out and doing the same thing that they've always done. But I have more on that later.
Yeah. And how much would you have paid to see Look What the Cat Dragged In redone?
Top to bottom?
Dude, me too. there's no limit on what I would have paid for that
Just
almost.
to hear them play "Blame It on You." I mean, that's my favorite Poison song ever. But my God, they could have blown through that in about a half hour because that's
Yes.
only like 29 minutes or something. So,
Right?
yeah, and then they would have had a whole hour to play whatever else.
Yeah.
Back in the early 2000s, I think it was the early 2000s, they toured every summer.
Yeah.
They had the Glam Slam Metal Jam, and they would always bring out three other bands. Like one year, like Cinderella was the big band that would play before Poison. One year it was Warrant, but then before them, you'd have like an Enough's Enough or some shit like that. And shit, they did good business. I mean, they always came to Fargo, and then I'm gonna have something on this. Then Brett decided, you know what, I can go on. So that's one of my numbers that's coming up. So I'll talk about that. But yeah, I completely agree. They missed a great opportunity to come out and do those.
Or imagine just going out and doing the Flesh and Blood record. Or I mean, maybe you can't play the whole Flesh and Blood record. That's a longer record. But you could have brought, Life Loves a Tragedy out. You could have done things like that. It's just they really missed some opportunity at celebrating the legacy of those records.
I agree. I never thought of that, Patrick. That is a missed opportunity.
Fuck yes. Okay, Jeremy, what's your number 8?
All right, this is kind of on a personal note. My oldest son, Jace, has diabetes. He got type 1 diabetes the day before he was supposed to start 4th grade. And the reason I segue into that is I think Bret Michaels was the first rock and roll musician to come out as a diabetic, as a juvenile diabetic, and say, I have to take insulin out on the road, and actually put it on that video. I think it was called "Sight for Sore Ears." I have it.
Yep.
And show himself injecting himself with insulin and saying, I have to do this how many times a day. I've actually been accused of being a heroin addict because maids have walked in on me, putting my insulin in, this, that, and the other. I think he was the first rock star to bring diabetes to the mainstream masses, and he actually started a foundation and did some amazing awareness for juvenile diabetes. So for that, I commended him then, even before I knew that my son 30 years later was going to have it. But once my son did get it, I used him as a representation of just how you can live a long, prosperous life. I said, if Bret Michaels for Poison can party, sleep with, a chick here and there, do all the things that he's done and still be alive, Jace, I said, you're going to live to be 70, 80 years old, no problem. And he was like, he has diabetes. So I used him as kind of a catalyst to help my son adapt his life to juvenile diabetes too. So I thank Bret for that. I think that was very admirable.
It's awesome.
Yep. I remember that. Sight for Sore Eyes or Sight for Sore Ears?
Sight for Sore Ears, yeah.
Sight for Sore Ears. And he sat there and he was doing his injection and talking about it. So I thought that was cool.
That had to be a hard way to live as a rock star.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Hell yeah. And like you said, somebody walk in backstage and you see a rock star with a fucking needle. I mean, obviously,
right?
Your first thought is donkey. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. I rearranged mine because my number 8 is now where I'm going to piggyback on what Patrick was just talking about. I think it's fucking disappointing. The amount of time Bret Michaels dedicates to solo touring and these party gras tours while Poison waits on the back burner. Now, I completely get he can do what he wants. It's his right. But the reason that Bret Michaels can go out and do all this shit and make all of this money is because of what he built with Ricky Rocket, Bobby Dahl, and CC DeVille. And I know everybody thinks that these rock stars that had a few platinum albums in the 80s, they think they're just millionaires for life. And I don't think that's the case. I mean, number one, a lot of those guys back then were spending a lot of money because they were, but imagine, now, like, if you're like Ricky Rocket or Bobby Dahl and you haven't toured in 3 years, because occasionally that's what happens. I don't care who you are, you're going to blow through a lot of money in 3 years. So I know that, like, Ricky had talked about wanting to tour this year, and I'm sure those guys are like, hey, fuck. After a couple of years, I could really use a Poison tour. So I get get Brett doing his own thing, but I really wish he'd say, you know what? Uh, every or at least maybe if not every year, every other summer, it's going to be a Poison summer because I can live this life that I lead because of what I created with that band.
Yep. Amen.
I have a lot to say on that. I'll wait my turn.
Sure. Okay. No problem. No problem. All right. So that was my number 8. So we are on to our number 7s. Patrick, what's your number 7?
I'm going to shuffle things around and piggyback on that comment.
Okay. Sounds good.
I think that when I was in my freshman year of college in '98, and this is where I'm going to begin. I think Bret Michaels' solo career was something I looked so forward to in 1998 because all you heard about for a couple months ahead of time was he had his first solo record coming out.
Yep.
And I was so jazzed for that. And then I heard he did this one concert at Billboard Live in LA, and there was a whole spread and metal edge of it. And it was talking about how he played his whole first album top to bottom. And in the lead up to the release, I saw that an import place in Metal Edge called Impulse Records was going to be offering a pre-order on that record. And I went and I called them up. We didn't have the internet back then. And I called them up and I said, I'll pay $50 for that freaking CD. And then that CD just never came. And it never came. And it never came. And it was a good 4 or 5 months later that it finally got released with no fanfare. And that first Bret Michaels solo album, which was the soundtrack to A Letter to Death Road,
Yes.
was the cheapest looking CD I've ever purchased in my entire life. I thought it was a bootleg. It was so cheap and cheesy and poorly recorded and awful. And so I think that I looked so forward to Bret Michaels' solo career only to be let down by countless bad albums and the performances of his solo band. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that love to go out there that don't care so much about the quality of the performance and they just like enjoying watching Bret go, how about you, man? And, all that stuff. Well, some of us out there really enjoy a good performance. And I've seen Bret Michaels solo probably 3 times. Every single time I've left early.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
his band can't play the songs correctly. There's a more focus on playing, all Poison songs at half speed, really cringy solos that are really bad representations of the originals. And, I have no problem with Bret Michaels being a good dude. I think he does a lot of good things for people and he does a lot of charity work, but I think he really goes out. And to piggyback on what Guru said, I think he's out there putting a really bad version of the Poison songs out there. And as much as his guitar player, Pete Evick, likes to sit there and say, oh, he's not making more money out of this. The fuck he isn't.
Yeah.
He's totally making way more money doing it. There's no incentive for him not to go out and do a big Poison tour. He should have been doing it this summer with Ricky. It's caused a lot of problems in that band.
Yep.
It really has, and there's a lot of people in that band who have made it known that they're not happy with it, and it's
Alienated a lot of fans too.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, it really did. Yeah.
the casual Poison fan loves a Bret Michaels concert.
Yep.
A long-term Poison fan probably doesn't enjoy it as much.
That's right.
My
Good point.
opinion. I could be totally wrong, and I'm sure in the comments there will be some Patrick's totally wrong comments.
And so when I talk to Ricky tomorrow, I mean, I'm gonna bring this up. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna say something like, what, because I'm gonna ask him about getting together, and hey, there was talk you were gonna do it. You were gonna do a tour this year.
Yeah.
But Bret said no, he's doing solo stuff, and I'm gonna slip in there. I wish the reason he's able to do all this stuff is strictly because Poison was a fucking multi-platinum band from 1986 to 1990.
Yeah.
And he should be going, hey, you know what? I gotta give some time to the guys and the crew that helped me live this life that I lead anyway.
Well, he's
Yeah.
put out a lot of solo records too, and
And they're
one of
shit.
the points I had in that was that every single one of his solo records has song that has like outside of the first two have versions of Every Rose Has Its
Yes.
Theme on it. And they've got, there was that horrible Show Me Your Hits remake
Yes.
where he had like Unskinny Bop with Pauly Shore singing it. And like, it's just a cheap way to make money off of the Poison name. And I think it's too bad.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I was right with you, looking everywhere for that Letter from Death Row soundtrack, trying to find a way to watch the movie. I still don't think I've ever seen that
It's
movie.
on YouTube.
Is it? Oh,
It's horrible.
oh, I'm sure it is.
So bad.
I mean, yeah, I remember in the Behind the Music, Brett was like, I feel like I can be a really good actor. And they showed like a couple clips. And even in those meager clips, I did not kill Christy. I was like,
It's so bad.
remember that? Fuck.
Oh, God, yeah.
It was so, I was like, just that line. I was like, no, I don't know if you can do this.
Right.
I feel bad. Like,
I know.
It's my favorite, one of my favorite bands in the world, and I love
Hell
Brett
yes.
Michaels, but
Hell
man,
yes.
it's hard to find a frontman that can entertain nearly as well as he can. And
Right.
I love Brett Michaels and I love the band. It just really pisses me off.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Okay, I think that was Patrick's number 7.
that was.
On to Jeremy's number 7.
All right. Speaking of Brett bashing, and this was not intentional, but this was literally right here, guys. My wife to this day cannot stand what she calls the Derek Zoolander of 80s rock, with his blue steel look all the time. She cannot stand the Derek Zoolander of 80s metal simply because the Rock of Love show that he did. Not once, guys. Not once did he do that frickin' show and exploit and just have an opportunity to sleep with more women than the guru here. But he did that frickin' thing twice. And then the worst part of it all, okay, so he goes out and he does all this, right? Because he's looking for love and God, how is he going to find love and this and that? And he does these shows twice. What does he end up doing in the end? Goes back to his baby mama anyway. It
He was always with her.
Yeah. To me, it was such a shameless exploit of Brett, and it did nothing to bolster Poison's sales. It did nothing to bolster Poison's reputation. If anything, it tarnished it, and it certainly tarnished Brett as a human being. And I just wish to God, if he had to do one of those shows to get some extra action on the side, just do it once, man. You don't have to do it twice. And it was the Rock of Love was a big turnoff for me with Brett Michaels. I'm over it now, but my wife isn't. She refers to him as Derek Zoolander and blah, 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 and she just can't get over that show. So,
What's funny is I remember going to see, boy, that was probably, 2007, 2008 when he did that.
yeah.
I remember going to see the Poison tour when they were opening for Def Leppard, the very first time they opened for Def Leppard.
Oh.
And right before they came on, they always play Highway to Hell right before they come on, and the whole place starts to get ready and go crazy. And then Highway to Hell ends, and that's usually like where the pyro goes off and everything. What comes on the video screen but the first premiere preview of Rock of Love?
God,
It was like,
dang it.
oh wow, you want to talk about killing it, all the excitement going into that.
No doubt. Dead aura right there.
Oh yeah, everybody's like, what the F is this?
I will say the chick that, and I think I watched some of the first season just because you're like, fuck, I'm a huge Poison fan. I'm gonna see what the deal is.
Yep.
The chick who won the first season, she had like pink hair.
Oh, the short pink hair, yeah.
Hot as a fucking hot as a pistol. Like
Absolutely. Yep.
I would have drank her bathwater. I shit you not. Okay.
It might have been pink, just like her hair.
Speaking of the guru getting girls, I'm not to brag, but in the 90s, I laid more pipe than Fargo Plumbing. I'm just saying. Okay.
Nice.
Just kidding. Okay. My number 7. I think that I'm baffled that the title track of the debut album, Look What the Cat Dragged In, was never released as a single. I just, all my life, I grew up thinking that not only was it a single, but it was a radio hit. And it's in my top 3 favorite Poison songs of all time. It opens up every concert Poison has or plays ever. So I just remember thinking that it was this big radio hit. It didn't get a video. It wasn't released as a single. How the fuck could that be?
Yeah.
Patrick, maybe you.
I love that song. I think it's one of the heaviest songs of the genre,
Yes.
of the super glammed out genre. Because that you know, I think it's a badass song. I've seen them so many times. I never got to see them in the heyday. I only got to see them in the since '99.
Yep.
But I've seen them a ton, and I can only think of one time they didn't open with it, and they opened with "Talk Dirty to Me," and it was so bizarre hearing that so early in the set. But I think it's a fantastic song. I agree with you. It should have been a single. Probably would have been a better single than "Cry Tough."
Yeah, Cry Tough fell on deaf ears.
Yeah.
And I think, Guru, I think if they would have put Look What the Cat Dragged In first, they would have shattered their image. Like, people would have saw the imagery and then heard the song and been like, holy shit, these girls, they look, these guys could kick major ass with some heavy tunes.
Yeah.
The album sold well enough without it, but could you imagine what that would have done for the heavier casual fans?
Yes. I completely agree. And I will say I love the song Cry Tough.
Sure.
But usually your first song like announces who you are. The first thing, like what's your here's what we're going for on this album. And I can see the message of Cry Tough. You got to cry tough out on the streets to make your dreams happen. I get, and I love that song. But Look What the Cat Dragged In. It was the fucking title track. If anything, announced Poison when you see that the cover of that album. I feel like that's the song. I mean, that's one of the ultimate, if somebody said, "Hey, show me a song that tells you what Poison is," I might pick that one.
The lyrics alone
The
tell you the
lyrics.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
It was 100% their lifestyle, yeah?
Totally.
Went to bed too late, got up too soon. Everything about it was screaming that.
Yes.
1986, yeah.
Yes. So, okay, that was my number 7. We're on to our number 6s. Patrick, what do you got?
I think Native Tongue is a fantastic album.
Oh,
I do. I love that record, top to bottom. I love everything about that record. It showed that the band was capable of writing serious quality music. The problem is that's not what the fan base wanted.
myself included, sadly.
Songs like if you go back and listen to that record, which I'm sure you both do, I'm sure that's one of your every year you put it in and
Yes.
give it a chance records.
Yes.
Blind Faith, Ain't That the Truth, and Rod Child Ride were all fresh sounding songs. It's just such a departure from the happy-go-lucky sound, of CC and of what people wanted.
Yeah.
But if you put that up against what Dog Eat Dog was doing, now they're not comparable records at all. Dog Eat Dog is a masterpiece.
Yes.
Please don't annihilate me for that. But if you take what Janie Lane's problem was at the time, which is he wanted to be taken more seriously by his peers, well, there's no difference here. You're coming off of the horrible 91 MTV Music Awards performance. The band's broken up. Everybody's been sitting there going unskinny bop, like, come on, seriously. And what's the first single? He comes out with a choir, with the LA riots had just happened. You can't blame him for trying something different and going that route. And I think Richie was just the wrong guitar player. I agree 100%. But I don't think they were too concerned with, having somebody come in there and sound like CeCe so much as Bret Michaels was more concerned with being taken more seriously as a songwriter.
Yeah.
And if you look at it with those eyes and listen to it, it's a damn good record.
Those are great points, Patrick. I agree with that. I'll get into that after Guru says his point here.
No, but I mean, I get what you're saying. And I was fine with Poison growing lyrically.
Oh, sure.
It did that on Flesh and Blood.
It absolutely did.
Tragedy. A Valley of Lost Souls.
Something to believe in.
But something to believe in. It was the guitar tone, that bluesy, wah, 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 all that shit.
That's it.
I was fine with where they went lyrically, but that ultra bluesy, wanky guitar, that's
Yeah.
what left me hanging.
Yeah. Oh,
I
get it.
couldn't. That's exactly what I was going to say, Guru. It was like he forgot where the distortion pedal was. It was like he was
Yeah.
playing clean blues the entire freaking album. And there are some songs on there, Patrick, probably 7 of them that I actually like, but I would
There's a
like
lot
a
of songs
lot
on the
more
record.
with
Yeah.
with heavy guitar. And I was not a fan of Richie's voice. Like when
Nope.
he'd come in and sing in the background, it drove me nuts. And thirdly, the choir to come. I hate Stand. I'll just go on record and say it. I hate Stand as much as Brian hates Love Bites,
Oh
and that's
shit.
serious hatred.
That is.
I hated it when it came out. I hate it today. I tried to like it and try to understand what they were thinking when they put that shit out, but it's shit. You can cover it with whatever you want. It still stinks like shit. And that choir in the background doing their thing. I wish they at least would have came out with a heavy track first. I don't know which one. I haven't given it that much thought, but maybe Strike Up the Band or something fun.
Oh,
And
Strike
then
Up the
done
Band's
Stand.
fantastic. Yeah.
I just felt like that was the wrong single and the wrong message to send to a fan base that was so desperately clinging to what's next.
You know what? I totally agree with what you're saying. And what's a real interesting now, obviously, people who folks like you and Anthony, it was a turnoff with that record, probably didn't dive deeper into it. But in the early or late 90s, when the internet kind of started going, I got on these Poison bulletin boards, and was able to get in contact with fans that were like in South America and stuff. When they
Yeah.
went down there, they didn't have Richie anymore because he'd been fired for everybody knows, but they had blues. They would say, I got like so many different radio broadcasts of live performances of them down there with blues playing. Holy cow, those songs take on a very different approach with his guitar playing, and it sounds more like the Poison you'd like.
I bet I should look for some of that, Patrick.
Yeah. There's a live performance from Buenos Aires that's on YouTube that I have the audio cassette for. And it's fucking killer hearing him play like 7 Days Over You. Hearing
Yeah.
him play Stand with a more like CC style guitar. Oh, it's killer.
There you go.
Uh,
Nice.
And I love the lyrical content of Stand.
Sure.
And I kind of liked Stand, but I didn't love it. I was like, oh, okay. Jeremy mentioned I think Strike Up the Band is probably the one rock song, maybe 7 Days Over You, that kind of has a little bit reminiscent of the older days, that Strike Up the Band guitar riff. My favorite song on that album is a ballad, Theater of the Soul. It sounds like he was writing Every Rose Part 2. And I love that song. Like I can still fucking great lyrics, and it's about the CC breakup. I also did like Until You Suffer Some Fire and Ice was a decent ballad, even though that got a little bluesy. But yeah, I wanted to love that record so bad. I was so excited in '93. I'm like, oh, please let Poison.
Did you get it on release day?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Because I was
Yeah,
like,
me too.
you're like, fuck, our scene is dying. Maybe Poison will be the one to save
Bring it back.
And
Yep.
didn't happen.
No, it didn't.
Well, like I said, I didn't expect that most people liked that record. I think I was just so die hard, and I still am, and I love it dearly. Check out Blind Faith, Guru. You'll love it. I know Ryan from the show loves it.
Sure. Okay. All right. That was what, your number 6?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, Jeremy, you're number 6.
All right, number 6. Kind of what you were just talking about. Look What the Cat Dragged In was never a single, but I found something out when doing the research for this episode. I think Poison shocked me with how many singles they actually did put out. I was thinking somewhere in the ballpark of 12, maybe 15 at most. Do you guys want to venture a guess how many singles they actually released to radio? I'm not saying they were hits, but they were released to radio stations and at least played once or twice and released to be singles. How many do you think, Patrick?
18.
Okay, what do you think, Guru?
How many singles Poison released?
To radio. Yep, to be played on the radio. Yep.
12?
28.
What?
Is that going all the way through like with like Rockstar and stuff like that?
I think it has to be.
Yeah.
When I was looking that up and I found that, I'm like, that's going on my top 10. I can not believe they released 28 singles to rock radio. That's hard to
And
believe.
include
And
Baby Cigarette.
look what the cat dragged in isn't one of them.
Exactly.
What's that?
I was gonna say, does that
Isn't that
include
crazy?
Sexy Back?
You looking it up, Guru?
No, I was doing something else, but no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sure it's counting fucking. I mean, every album that they put out, even like that covers album, they released a couple videos. I was kind, now I'm like, oh yeah, there was a couple singles from that were released. So 12
Yeah.
was obviously a shit fucking answer. Because most of
Well,
those
28.
sank without a fucking trace. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
okay,
No, that just blew my mind. So I think that was the biggest shocker for me.
sure. Okay, my number 6. I think that this kind of goes into one of the craziest live things, but this was one of the craziest radio interviews in music history is Bret Michaels. This is in the early 90s after CC's been booted. Bret Michaels is on an interview with Lon Friend, who
Oh
was
yeah.
the big editor, publisher of Rip magazine. And
Yep.
who fucking decides to call in but CC DeVille. And they agreed to talk not live on the air, but Lon fucking, I guess, if I
Left it on
recorded
there.
it anyway, and it came out years later, and CC's fucked up, you can tell, but you can, and I'll give Bret a ton of, Bret was like, dude, I was always sticking up for you. I was trying to, and CC's just off his fucking rocker high, and they're going back and forth, and CC's like, well, I wanted this and I wanted that, and Bret's like, well, I was trying to do this, but look at the shit you did. And Bret sounds like fucking aware and cognizant, and CC, it makes him look shitty. I mean, the guy he was a crackhead
Yeah.
back then. I mean, he talked about fucking just holding up in his hotel room or in his house for like weeks at a time. And so you have no clue what's going on. And I mean, obviously, I've never been a crackhead before, but knowing what I know about addiction. And so, you're out of your mind. You hear your buddy on a radio show, he calls in, it's like, who hasn't been drunk and wasted and at 3 o'clock in the morning thought, who would like to hear from me? My ex-girlfriend. I should call her up and we should talk about the past and what happened.
Now's a
That's
great
what
time.
CC sounded like. And it's crazy. You can find that online somewhere. Go check it out. You'll just shit when you hear it.
That's awesome. I'm gonna look for that.
It is a riveting listen, let me
Oh.
tell you. Yeah.
Totally.
How long is it? About 20 minutes?
Like 15.
15 minutes?
Something like that.
God, that's gotta be
You can tell
entertaining
Bret
phone.
is being very, very cautious with
Oh.
what he's saying.
I
It's
bet.
just like when you're talking to somebody that's completely shit-faced.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to be really careful with them.
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah. I don't think I have heard that Bret was not real happy with Lon Friend after that.
Oh.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. We are on to our number 5s. Patrick, what's your number 5?
Back in 2000, so they reunited with CC in '96. They tour in '99 for the first time, and that was when CC was getting ready to come out with the Samantha 7 project, and he was very straightforward with the fans and everybody, saying that this is a 1-year thing in '99, and then I'm going to go out with the stepmother. Well, he called it the stepmothers at first, and then it became Samantha 7. But I don't know if a lot of people remember this, but in 2000, they announced they were going to go out on tour again. And right beforehand, it was announced that CC DeVille had been fired again from Poison and replaced with Tracy Guns.
Oh, shit. That's right. Fuck, sorry.
Yeah. And I think it would have been super interesting to see what Poison would have sounded like in 2000 when Tracy Guns was asked to be the permanent guitarist, only to have CC come back 3 weeks later. It all was a dispute over CC demanding that if he was going to do the tour in 2000, that Samantha 7 would get to open the shows. and the band said was very adamant against it. So he threatened to stay out of it. Tracy rehearsed with them for 3 weeks. He even wrote songs with them. None of those songs have ever materialized, by the way. There is rumors that Power to the People was one of those songs, but I don't buy that it was.
Was this 2000, did you say, Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes. Because 99 was the reunion, the very first set of reunion tunes. Tracy said the music that they wrote together was heavier than what Poison was known for, and felt that this is the ego of Tracy Guns, though. Tracy Guns, and I quote, said the music was heavier than what Poison was known for, and I think the only reason that they kicked me back out and brought Cece back is because Cece knew that the band would have embraced Tracy and would have been happier with the heavier tunes. Boy, that's some ego right there.
Wow.
But I still think it would have been fascinating to see, and that was what planted the seeds eventually for Tracy and Ricky working together on Devil City Angels.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
God, I completely forgot about that. I
remember Metal Sludge when Cece came back had this great picture. It was Cece DeVille tied up with like tape on his mouth, and he was in the back of a car, and it said they went and found him and kidnapped him to bring him back. So,
dang.
Yeah.
I would have loved to hear that too, Patrick. That would have been an interesting show, even if only for a handful of shows.
Oh, Tracy can shred, that's for sure.
You bet.
I'm not the world's biggest Tracy Guns fan, but I respect the hell out of his playing. That guy's written so many great songs.
Yeah, for sure.
Tucker blocked me on X.
Did he?
Then he bailed on X.
Yeah.
So, but now he's no longer on X. And I salute him. I salute Tracy now. He's back in LA Guns. They are putting out album after album. I love that. But damn, for a long time, it was like he was constantly leaving and coming back. And then he was this band and that band. And then he had Diana from that fucking reality show singing in LA Guns. She was
He
in
did that twice. He had Delana, and he had another. They were both. One of them was Delana, and then the other one was from the Rockstar INXS show.
Yes.
So
he's finally decided. Look, it's me and fucking Phil Lewis, and that's it. So good for him. But okay. All right, Jeremy, what's your number 5?
I think one of the greatest pieces of comedic game show history has to be when Cece DeVille appeared on Jeopardy. Right, Patrick, you've seen it. Not only is it flippin' hilarious because Cece has got that voice, and he's doing his thing, but not only that, he's like Joe Pesci up there, but he's killing it.
Oh, he nailed it. Yeah.
He's slaughtering the competition. I think everybody thought, oh, here's this former cokehead from Poison. This dude isn't going to know shit. And he comes on and music and alliteration for 300 and just kills it. And it is so freaking funny because you could see the host is like holding back his laughter. And the contestants next to him, they're not holding back. They're like, this dude is freaking awesome. And I've watched that so many times just because Cece is so hilarious. If you haven't seen it, Guru, check it out.
I have it. Is it on YouTube?
No.
Oh, absolutely.
No. Oh, it wasn't. I've looked. I haven't seen it there, but
You haven't seen it on YouTube?
No, is it there?
Yeah. Well, where did I watch it then?
I mean, it used to be because I remember seeing it on VH1 when they were doing cool shit like that.
Okay.
And my God, it's like watching Rain Man.
It is. It really is, dude.
It's so great.
Definitely Charlie Babbitt.
Yeah, he's awesome.
It is great.
CC is so funny, and I love his voice, and he's such an entertainer that to me it's shocking that like he does no interviews. You would think he'd be fucking all right. Here's my YouTube channel. Hey, I'll come on and I'll do interviews and get out there because he just seems like he'd be that kind of person.
He does.
He lives a very quiet life. He's a family man. He's married to Jizzy Pearl's ex that used to be all over Metal Sludge when Jizzy was like writing stuff on there.
Oh,
He's married to her. They have a son. There's a great video from backstage at one of the Poison shows of his young son. This is probably like 15 years ago. with like playing air guitar to his dad playing on stage. It's
That's
super
excellent.
cool. But he's a very quiet family man outside now. He's gotten his life together, and I think he has been very serious about keeping it that way.
That's good.
Badass. Badass.
Yeah.
Then again, there's something to say for sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So, no, I'm just kidding. And that's going to be in the opening montage.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. My number 5. I think Poison is making a huge mistake if they don't put out a massive 40th anniversary box set with all the bells and whistles in 2026. And I'm talking, I mean, it would probably just be the first 3 albums. I don't know. Hey, fucking go ahead, throw in Native Tongue, throw in whatever you want, but give us those, at least those first 3 albums. Give us any fucking leftover shit. Give us a live concert if you've got something from 86 to 87. Because I don't know about you guys, there is not much for great Poison concerts from 86, 87, 88. There is some stuff. But find and fix up. Give us extra shit, tour books, posters, and all that shit. I've started, doing these box set reviews. I love doing them. And, I think if they did it up right, I think that would be a massive seller because I think a lot of people are pumped for this 40th anniversary tour, and they should put out all sorts of products for those of us who are dying for more Poison shit.
Right on, man.
It's awesome that you mentioned that. But you know what it reminds me of too is that what one of the biggest Poison mysteries was for a long time was when they put out Swallow This Live multiple times in that Swallow This Live album, and even at the end of Swallow This Live, Bret Michaels says to the crowd, "We'll see you this Christmas. We'll see you on our live record and our live home video." At the beginning of the So Tell Me Why video, they show the VHS of the Swallow This Live release, and it never came out, but it did get recorded, and it did play on VH1 Classic, but it's never seen a commercial release. So right there, that could be in the box set.
Absolutely.
Okay, while you brought that up, one of the ones on my list that didn't make it is that the Poison song "So Tell Me Why" from Swallow This Live is one of the best Poison songs of all time. I fucking love that song, and it did get a video, but if you notice in the video, the only person that they recorded new footage of was Bret. All the other footage is from past videos, so you can tell something was amiss in the land of Poison. But that's a great fucking song.
3 of those 4 songs all were among the best Poison songs. They were No More Looking Back was great. The ballad Only Time Will Tell was
that's right.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Those were all the Souls on Fire one, but the other 3 out of those 4 songs could have all been radio hits.
Yep, I agree.
And you'll never hear those songs live.
Nope.
No. Yeah, I know. It's
And when you go to a fucking Bret Michaels show, you got to hear "Sweet Home Alabama" and 6 or 7 fucking covers.
Sitting on the dock of the bay.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay. Shit, was that mine?
Yes.
Okay. And that was my number 5. We are on to our number 4s. Patrick, what's your number 4?
I think Poison holds a record for playing the most consecutive tours with the exact same set list. They really need to overhaul that goddamn set list. I love them to death. I swear to God, fans of this channel, I love Poison dearly. Totally. I'm not shit talking them. I love them dearly. But that's what's frustrating is when you pay, if you paid $400 to go to the stadium tour, you got the same damn hour-long set list that you got when they opened for Def Leppard, when they, have headlined on their own. And what's really aggravating about that set list is the number of covers that are in it. Your Mama Don't Dance. I get that was a hit single, but you get that. I've seen them play Sweet Home Alabama. I've seen them play, when they were doing the Poisoned tour. two or three. They played "What I Like About You,"
Yes.
and Brett played the country song there, that the "Can't You See." You know, it's like let's lose some of the covers and play, some of the song. Let's play, songs off the first two records that haven't been played in years.
Love on
Back,
the Rocks.
yeah, "Love on the Rocks," "Back on the Rocking Horse." All those songs. "Bad to Be Good." I know people hate that song. I love that song. Play that, but they just don't go backwards. They go, and play a bunch of covers, and it really irritates the piss out of me.
And when they headline the concert, it's like 12 or 13 songs.
Yeah, they play for an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes.
Like damn, you get somebody that like Kiss even at the end and they have two singers but they're playing 22 fucking songs.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You get a CC solo and a 10-minute drum solo.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't mind those, that's fine, but it's just irritating. And I know a lot of fans feel that way when they have gone on tour, and then everybody runs to YouTube to see what they're playing right off the bat, or Blabbermouth puts the set list up. I'm always just like, God, really again? Here we go. And I'm really worried that's what's going to happen with this next tour, is you're just going to get all the hits. And you ask the band about it. I've met everybody but Ricky, and I have asked and asked and asked, and you get, well, you can't make everybody happy, and everybody wants to hear the singles and blah, blah, blah. I don't think everybody wants to hear the singles, guys. So
They already have, Patrick, haven't they?
yeah, exactly.
I agree.
You can get the diehards like us sitting there going like, oh, play "Back on the Rocking Horse," but
Yep.
in reality, they do need to play a lot of those hits, and I'm fine with it. But one or two songs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, and make it okay. Play that shit. Make instead of having a 13 song set, make it a 14 or a 15 or 16 song set, and give us a couple songs for those diehards, who are the reason that you still fucking exist.
Right.
Yep.
Take the drum solo out and let's go.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Jeremy, what's your number 4?
All right. Speaking of drums and drum solo, I think that Ricky Rocket's custom designed, made, painted, he did all of his custom work on his drum kits for their tours. I don't know if you guys knew that, but he actually designed them, painted them, did all the lacquer, everything. I think that Poison had the most flashy, kick-ass looking drum sets of any band out on tour. I think of the Open Up and Say Ah drum kit. I think of the Look What the Cat Dragged In Robot drum kit that he did.
That thing was awesome.
That dude's talent, and he's still using that talent today, whether it be in makeup or other art type avenues that he's in. But his drum sets, I couldn't wait for the new album and couldn't wait to see what drum kit Ricky was going to design to bring out on tour, because he was flashy and he brought out some beautiful kits, and I would love to have a poster with every one of those custom-made Ricky Rocket kits. So when you talk to him, Guru, maybe you could ask him if he's got photos of every drum kit he's ever done, because I would love to see them all.
Okay. All right.
Did you know he did that?
He owned his own drum company, Rocket Drum Works.
Yes, that's right.
He built drums for Steven Adler. He built them for all kinds of guys.
Yeah.
I remember, the website. I bought a shirt off there, and this is how wonderful Ricky Rocket is as a human being. I bought a shirt off of there. This is probably in 2009, and they didn't have the color anymore. And you know who actually contacted me? It wasn't customer support at Rocket Drum Works or anything like that. I one day get an email, and it's Ricky Rocket, and I'm like, what the hell? And I click on it, and it was like, hey man, got your order, didn't have the orange shirt you wanted. Would this one work? Thanks, Ricky.
Fantastic.
So, I just went, that'll be fine. Do you mind signing it?
Right? Right? That is pretty cool.
Yeah, he was awesome. He's like, thanks, brother. And I was like,
yeah.
Damn it, I got to add this to my fucking notes because that would be a fun story to tell him if I get time to do it.
Oh, yeah.
When was that?
That was probably like 2008 or 2009. It was whenever he had his Rocket Drumworks shirts for sale. They ran out, and I don't think he ever did them again.
Rocket Drumworks shirts?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, he's a talented guy. He could give makeup tips for women. I'm not that's not a bash, that's a compliment. The dude knows how to apply
He had
facial
a
makeup.
cosmetology. He went to cosmetology school.
Yeah, he's such an absolute talent. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm interviewing tomorrow, but I'm not saying this just to be like a kiss ass. So I've watched some interviews with him. The dude just seems like a fucking nice guy.
He is.
Yeah.
You know, and even like he talks about like how he never wants to disappoint, you know, how sometimes you do disappoint, you know, you
Yeah.
can't help it, like, you know, maybe you're in a rush and you can't, but he's like, I want to let people know that I appreciate them. And so I was just watching this interview and I'm like, fuck, man, you like, you know, just seem like a
Yeah.
good dude. So okay.
He has an
Absolutely.
amazing YouTube channel too, where he does like
Yep.
motorcycle tours and things like that. He's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, does karate, fucking does all has all these different interests, and so that
Oh shit, yeah.
like a fucking like a renaissance man in a way.
He really is. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shit. Whose was that?
That was my number 3, I think.
Oh,
That was
number
number
four.
four.
4.
Okay. All right. My number 4. I think one of the most disappointing. I'm going to start over. I think one of the most disappointing moments in my hair metal life was missing Poison when they came to Fargo, North Dakota on the Open Up and Say Ah tour. So I never saw I saw him on the Native Tongue tour with Damn Yankees opening, and that was great. But you knew it was different. There was such an excitement because when they came to Fargo, it was right around the time that Every Rose was going to #1. And there's like some people said, like, yeah, hey, there's clips in the video so I don't know exactly. Anyway, people said that, but the band was blowing up, obviously. But I lived 40 miles from Fargo in Leonard, North Dakota, and I had bought a ticket on my own, and my mom was gonna let me go. But then it fucking snowed really hard. You know, not like so bad that they were gonna cancel the concert, but bad enough to where my mom was like, "You're not because I think I was gonna meet somebody from Fargo and be like, "Okay, I'll see you there." You know,
Yeah.
he wasn't gonna let me drive by myself and go see Poison in Fargo. I was like 16, you know. So I have forever been just I'm still like, Mom, really? It was just a little bit of snow. You couldn't have let me go to that concert because I think seeing them on that tour would have just been the height of maybe, you know, of all the hair metal concerts that I've seen, and I've seen a ton. But here's the thing, when that scene was blowing up, I was still pretty young, and not
Yeah.
all of those bands were coming to Fargo. So, you know, a lot of those bands I never saw for the first time until the glory days were over. And so that was my chance, and I missed it.
Mama, let me go to the show is what you should have screamed out.
Amen.
I mean, jeez Louise, if there's ever been a better time, man.
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome, man. You killed that one.
That was good. That was good. All right. That was my number 4. We're on to our number 3s.
All right. I'm going there.
Okay.
Holiwierd. What the actual fuck?
God.
Motley Crue fans give me shit on X about the video we did about that because I just tore the shit out of Generation Swine. I'm buckling in because I don't have a lot of good to say here. Another album I was totally jazzed for. Came out my senior year of college. I was graduating right then, and 2 months later, that album came out. We used to have, people used to use like Kazaa, which was like a fake version of Napster. I was on this thing called Audio Galaxy, and that album leaked about 2 months early, and I got the whole thing. And I remember watching it download and being like, I'm still gonna buy it on every, platform that I can because I'll support this band till the day I die. But I remember as those things downloaded, I started hearing them and being like, and then it started playing and going, oh God. And another an example of where the first single was a frickin' cover.
Yeah.
and it was so poorly done. It was the production on it was terrible.
Yep.
You know, they did have a producer for it, but he was not. He was a producer of classic bands in the 70s, and they clearly went and looked at going for somebody that did their heroes work. And I know they had said that they wanted to make something that was a lot more, you know, like a period piece to going back to like Look What the Cat Dragged In. But that album doesn't sound anything like that. And they recorded Look What the Cat Dragged In for 30 grand, which was like no budget. And that sounded better than Holiwierd did
Yep.
when they were, you know, very successful, and they're coming off of two huge tours that were very successful, and they did a real rinky-dink job. The album tanked. They got really good press coverage for it. They got on last what is it, Last Call with Carson Daly. They performed on that, which was on primetime television. They also, you know, they were on the radio. They did a Rockline episode, and it was such a disappointment. I know some people love that album, and every album has those fans, but I think a lot of fans were so turned off by it. I think there's a lot of negative reviews of it out there, and I think that has made the band really cautious about recording again.
But I mean, like what you said about A Letter from Death Row, you're expecting this awesome thing, and
Right.
there was no money put into it. They took no time on the production of fucking Holiweerd.
Yeah.
The first single, that Who cover, Squeezebox. If you remember the band Roxy Blue in
Oh, they did it, and they did it right.
Yes, they
1992, they put out fucking Want Some, an amazing cover of Squeezebox.
Yeah.
So it's not like it couldn't have been a good version. You got to the chorus of that, and it sounded like, I don't know, like they fucking recorded it in the bathroom stall.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, just horrible production level. And so you're like,
Yep.
you just, I feel like they were like, you know what? We're not, because I'm not, never been a musician. I've never put out albums, but you know, when you write a bunch of songs, bands go, okay, we're gonna have some filler in general, but we're gonna have 4 or 5 songs that we're hoping are gonna be our singles. We're really gonna work and fine tune those and make them perfect. They did not work and fine tune any of those songs. It's like they wrote the demos and then said, "Hey, here, somebody mix them and put them out, and we're not going to do any extra work." Because the whole, if you know Danny Wasted, he puts out all those
Oh, yeah.
albums on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like he and I
Yeah.
were chatting about it once, and he's like, it could have been good if they would have worked on it and spent some time producing it. The
Yeah.
songs you can kind of hear, like, oh, that could have been catchy.
Yep.
But I'm so with you, man.
You didn't need a cover of Squeezebox. You didn't need
Oh.
2 versions of that crap ass song
Oh.
Home. You didn't need, you know, there was some good moments on it. I thought the song Stupid, Stoned, and Drunk, or yeah, is that what it is? Stupid, Stoned, and Dumb. That's what it was. That had some great moments on it. You know, they tried to write Fallen Angel a few times on there. They tried to write Ride the Wind again on there, and it just wasn't, it just didn't work.
I'll be honest. The one song one of the songs that actually was like, was Home. I was like, oh, that's kind of fuck. I mean, just the lyrics of Brett's, you know, he's talking about the rainbow and shit. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, I was so amped for that thing. I'm like, oh, they haven't put out an album in so long. This is going to be Poison's return to form. You know, they're going to make sure this thing is good. The band's all sober and kind of settled down, you know, at least at whatever level they could be. And fuck, man. So
Yeah. They had some 18-year-old come in there with a ghetto box and hit record, and that was the album. The only good thing about that album, and again, I think you guys are right. If it was produced well and mixed well, there could have been some songs that you would tolerate and actually probably like. But the cover, the artwork was great. Like if you were to see that, like in a Metal Edge and saw Holiwierd getting released, but I don't know. I thought the cover was badass, and I was like, "All right, Poison's back. They look good. They're glammed out. They look healthy." This album, like you said, is just gonna be killer. And like you also mentioned, it was touted as like a return to the look what the cat dragged in. It was nothing like that for me because, again, the guitar tone was so weak. But anyway, we could talk about that album all day long. It's like their generation swine. You're exactly like Patrick, and I'm right beside you. Anybody that bashes you is going to bash me too. I thought it was a big stink show.
And you had such a build up to it because the 5 songs from Power to the People were great.
Yeah, and heavy.
Yeah.
Especially one of the songs that didn't make my list. And one of the
I know where you're going.
one of the greatest lyrics in hair metal history. I hate every bone in your body but mine.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, I saw them. They played Fargo shortly after that album came out, and they didn't play anything from it. So
On Power to the People or Holiwierd?
but Holiwierd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't that long. I'm pretty sure they didn't play anything from it, but
I only ever saw 2 songs from played Holiwierd, the song they opened with, and then the other one was they played Squeezebox. So
oh shit. I think they did play Cece's song on that, The Emperor's New Clothes or something.
yeah, he played that during his solo. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
And I like that song. I like that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, now we're on Jeremy's number 3, right? Jeremy.
Yep. That actually leads right into my number 3. I think CC should have been given more freedom to write the lyrics and write the songs. You take I Hate Every Bone in Your Body and Emperor's New Groove. That is some good stuff. You think back to Samantha 7, that other project that you mentioned on The Son-in-Law. CC, like he had that punk attitude. He had those punk lyrics. His lyrics were fun. When I listen to his songs, I'm happy. I'm jamming. I got my windows down. I'm cranking up the tunes, man. It's summertime and everything is good. I wish they would have done more of a Kiss kind of thing and said, you know what? Let's do half the songs of Brett. Let's do half with Cece, like Gene and Paul did. I think that they could have had a hell of a lot better Holiwierd album had they done something like that. I just wish Cece would have had more input as far as the songwriting. That's my take on it.
Would have been interesting to see what he would have done if he had gotten the gig in Stryper.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And they're one of my favorite bands too. They're right over here if you can't see them.
Right?
But yeah.
Okay. All right. My number 3. I think it's shocking how the song I Want Action, they completely ripped off the song and the chorus from the band Easy Action. Their song is called We Go Rocking. Okay, and I had forgotten about this for a long time until I was looking up shit. Go listen to Poison, I Want Action, then go listen to the band Easy Action, We Go Rocking. It's the chorus, even though the lyrics are different, it is so blatantly the same. So there was a lawsuit. I think Easy Action received some sort of
I got a settlement.
It was settled in '89. They got some sort of financial settlement. But go listen to those 2 songs side by side, and you're like, holy fuck, man. I mean, like, you didn't even really try that hard to make it that different because it's a complete ripoff.
You know who was the singer and the guitar player in Easy Action?
Wasn't it somebody from Shotgun Messiah? No.
It was Zinny Zan was the singer.
Yeah.
And then the guitar player, now I could be wrong on this, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on it. I think it was Key Marcello from Europe.
I think you might be right. Yep, I knew it was Zinny Zan. That's right. Okay.
And we lost Jeremy.
Yeah, fuck Jeremy, what's up? Well, I think we're okay. We'll just go right into your number 2, and if I'm sure he'll. All right, what's your number 2?
I think the Swallow This Live album, while I acknowledge that everybody knows it was heavily doctored, just like most live albums, is a fantastic representation of Poison in their glory days, complete with the overindulgent solos, the Ricky's 10-minute drum solo and Cece's 11-minute guitar solo. And as we talked about earlier, the new tracks on that record were great. If somebody came to me and said, hey, where should I start with Poison? Most people are going to say, here's the greatest hits, or here's, of the 20 million different greatest hits, packages they release, I would hand somebody Swallow This Live because I think it's a fantastic live record. I know you don't really like live records that much, Guru, but I think Swallow This Live is an incredible live record. It's among probably my 3 favorite live records ever. I grew up with that record. It always went places with me, and I think it's a fantastic representation of the glory days of who they were. That's all I have to say about that. I think it's just a fantastic live album.
I have never even like I'm one of the biggest Kiss fans around, and Kiss their shit when the Alive album is the album that broke them.
Sure.
I still I'm like, man, I just want to hear the songs the way they were fucking on the album.
Yeah.
And so I very rarely, so when I think of Swallow This Live, I just think of the new tracks, but I should listen to it because I completely hear what you're saying.
Of their
How about
live
Kiss?
records, that is the only one that sounds great.
Kiss Alive 3, I thought was pretty well done.
Yep. Well, I love the Revenge album.
Yeah, so do I.
There you go.
Yep.
And I hate Kiss, so
Really?
I'm not a Kiss fan at all. I've tried so hard. I put hours into trying to get into Kiss.
You've listened to the Revenge?
I've listened to Revenge, Anthony, at least probably 5 to 10 times. And I like Dominoes, all right. Yeah, that's kind of fun. The video was better, but I've tried the late 80s Kiss, I've tried the early Kiss, but no, it's not my jam. I totally respect them. I totally respect the effect they had. All of the bands I love Kiss, and that's cool,
All right. We're on to Jeremy's number 2.
All right. I can't believe this just happened. I think that Poison is actually the 80s version of Kiss. I truly do. Okay, because when you think about everything Kiss represented, they had the look. They had something that was unique. Poison did that exact same thing. They came out when they did their live shows. You wanted the best, you got the best, the hottest band in the world. Well, Poison had, you guys remember what it was? I'm blanking it right now, but they had a little speech at the beginning. What was it? The Glam Slam,
Kings of Noise.
Kings of Noise, yes, from the gutters of LA. Poison, directly. Now, I'm not going to say ripoff, but taken from a page of Kiss's playbook. They, of course, redid Rock and Roll All Night. They played at Live New Year's Eve that one year. Then you take the stage show. What was Kiss famous for? Pyro. Poison. One of the best live bands out there. They knew how to do pyro. Shit, they had a freaking laser light of dancing girls. Everything Poison did, they did to the next level, which was Kiss-esque. So I think the Poison was undoubtedly the 80s version of what Kiss was in the 70s. Obviously, they didn't have the lasting power. The genre ended too soon. But I just think that they took every page that Kiss had, and they're self-admitted Kiss fans, and they just did it in the 80s in their own way.
I agree. And I mean, look at the cover of the first album. It was plainly obvious that they were trying to, even though not everybody was singing, they were trying to present themselves as everyone's a star. Like, Kiss was always like, hey, there's not just one of us. Like, all 4 of us are Kiss. It wasn't like, okay, let's focus on this one person. So at least right away, that's what they were. Obviously, you were going to focus on Brett. He was the singer, and the guy looked like a rock god. I mean, he had those fucking abs that wouldn't quit. But, they went out of their way to be like, hey, all 4 of us, we're a gang. We're all stars. Yeah,
right on. No, I agree.
All right.
Bret Michaels has said that the finest stage moment he's ever had was when they shared the stage with Paul Stanley in '87 at Texas Jam.
Yes.
It's in the video for I Won't Forget You.
That's right. And is there any footage of that fucking concert?
It has to exist.
Yeah, you bet it does somewhere.
It totally exists somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'd love to see that. Oh,
I know they played Strutter with him, and that's what that footage is from.
So in my talking about Sweet Savage, who never got the major label record deal, there's all sorts of early fucking 1985 footage of those guys on YouTube. How is there not? Like,
it exists. Trust me, it exists.
Right, but let's get it. It's got to get that shit out at some point.
No doubt.
I think here's my number 2. I think I'm forever amazed. This is where I get into my positive shit. And I've had some positive shit,
Oh,
but
sure, we all have. Yeah.
I'm forever amazed by the Poison story. Four kids from bumfuck Pennsylvania start a band named Paris and then move to Los Angeles and take over the city. Now, obviously, Matt Smith leaves. They get well, fucking Slash auditions.
Yeah.
They get CC DeVille in the band. But this is where they took over the town, and every band I've heard interviews with so many different um, hair metal 80s rock musicians who will say that Poison were the flyering kings of the Sunset Strip. And how did these kids from fucking, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania go, you know what? We're going to move to Los Angeles and we're going to fucking take over that town. It reminds me of Pantera. We're here to take over this town or whatever.
Right on, Cowboys. Yep.
Cowboys from Hell. But anyway, then they get what most people wouldn't think is the best record contract. It was turned down by Sweet Savage. They get like 12 days to record their debut album for this little fucking label. And they record it for like 23 grand. And it goes triple platinum. And now they are the face of hair metal, just an unreal story. And that is why Poison will always be one of my favorite bands of all time.
Absolutely.
Driving out from Pennsylvania in a refurbished ambulance.
Right.
That's cool in its own right there.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
That's rock and roll. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Living
Imagine how scared you'd be.
Oh yeah, they lived in an apartment that didn't even have a bathroom.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Lived up a couple future porn stars in their unselfish ways, if you will. So they're giving ways, I'll say.
They're
Oh,
kidding
yeah.
me.
Sure they were giving.
Yeah, they were very giving. Yes.
In the behind the music where Ricky says it was poverty, and it's poverty beyond what you imagine poverty being. I mean, that's got to be,
Sure.
and they had to make it work for a few years like that.
Sure.
Yep. Yep.
Sure. Okay. We are on to our number ones. Hopefully you've all survived and made it to this point. Patrick, what's your number one?
I truly believe in my heart of hearts that Poison has one fantastic record left in them. They need a quality producer, not a throwback producer. They don't need to go, like for the Poison record, they went and hired Don Was, who had done Aerosmith records and things like that. They don't need to do that. They need to get somebody like a Butch Walker who can help them with the writing, that could really make a pop rock record that we have wanted since 1995. And they need to harken back the sound. And if it's done right, I truly think they'll get appearances on late night TV just on their name alone. They can possibly get on the radio. And I don't expect that it would ever be a platinum album or have some sort of renaissance. I think it's too late for that. But if Bon Jovi can put out something and get a video that gets 1 million, 2 million views on YouTube, some sort of exposure, they get played on your adult contemporary stations that play the hits of the 80s, 90s, and today, they could do that. And I think they could do it right. They have to put their egos aside and make it happen. And I guarantee you, they have a good fan base that will go out and buy that record.
And I mean, there are so many avenues for promotion now. I mean, YouTube channels and fucking social medias and X accounts. And there's so many people talking about this kind of music that would promote it if it's something good. So if they can come out with something that people would be like, would get behind, it would definitely get shared and promoted and get out in front of the people. So you're completely right. Get with a producer, not somebody who's just going to say, okay, yeah, we can slap this together and throw your name on it and throw it out there. Let's
re-record the hits. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We don't need another greatest hits package. We don't, unless it's a box set that has everything Anthony talked about. But we need a new record Give us a record. I know, a couple years ago when they did the stadium tour, they were talking about, oh, well, we might record one song.
Yeah.
People don't buy albums. Come on, we've given everything we had to that band.
Yes.
They don't owe us anything, but God, I'd love it.
Sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Completely agree. Completely agree. Jeremy, what's your number one?
My number one is I think that Poison has managed to stay a fantastic band, live band, throughout their entire career. They have never floundered in the respects that some of our other heroes have. They are still doing it and doing it well. I was hopeful for a tour this year. We talked about it. In fact, Patrick, I don't know if you watched our episode. We came up with set lists for this one. Yeah. So hopefully they take a page out of that, but they have never come out and just went through the motions. You don't go to a Poison show and leave saying, "Damn, that was boring." Brett Michaels, I can't speak to that. I've only seen him once live. But Poison, you never leave disappointed.
No.
CC's going to be saluting you. He's going to be shredding the whammy bar. Brett is going to be Brett. I don't know where he developed that southern drawl, but he'll be out there doing his, he'll be doing his thing every show. I don't care if he's sick. I don't care if he's tired. He's got Guru six-pack abs, and he loves to flaunt them.
Yeah.
Right? And they have never they've never diminished in their talent level live. And that's one thing I want to say to them, a true testament to them. Patrick, I would love what you just said to come to fruition. One more killer album, even if it's just 15 more minutes of fame. Get us Poisoned one more time. Can you do it one more time to us? I would love it. It'd be good. It'd be good for humanity. I really believe that.
It would change the world.
Yeah, I really truly would. Bring a little joy, to this dark world.
I'm complete and I've seen Poison. I mean, they used to play around here all the fucking time. I've never left a Poison concert and thought, you know what? They just kind of phoned it in.
Yeah.
Brett Michaels, for whatever shit we've given him here, is always energetic and genuinely looks like he's having a good, can you fake that? Sure. But, it looks like he's having a good time. He interacts with the crowd. He's patriotic.
Yep.
He's bounding up and down. Same thing with CC. So yeah, I always feel like Poison delivers live.
I do
Bret
too.
Michaels is probably, in my book, the best frontman that the genre ever saw.
Yep, I agree.
Right.
Brett Michaels' appearance on The Masked Singer, guys, if you haven't watched that, that's also pretty entertaining. He was great on it. He entertained that crowd. He had him in the palm of his hands. The Masked Singer, of course, the singing talent show. You can watch that on YouTube. Check it out. He doesn't phone that in either. It's great and it's entertaining. So
What did he do on The Masked Singer?
I can't remember what he was dressed as, Guru, but he came out, and I think he made 2 rounds where he came out in his fake mask up thing and did 2 songs. I knew immediately it was him. Andrea wasn't quite sure, but I said, that's Brett Michaels, there's no question. And he made it to the second round, almost moved on to the finals round, and just entertained that crowd. And when he took his head off and the crowd knew who it was, he was elated. It was true elation, and just it almost brought tears to your eyes how happy he was to be able to do that with people again.
That's cool. He was a banana.
Banana! There you go, man. He was a banana.
And he did a far better job than Sebastian Bach did as a tiki torch.
Yes.
If you watch that Sebastian Bach performance
remember
at the
that.
end when he does Youth Gone Wild, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Yep.
Patrick, we need to schedule the Sebastian Bach video.
The rise and fall of Sebastian
We will
Bach.
do that. We will do that. Okay, my number one, and now I'll wax nostalgic a little bit. I think that I am super excited and just shocked that this little YouTube channel that I started 20 months ago, hoping to get a few hundred people to come listen to me talk about this shit, has led to I'm interviewing fucking Ricky Rocket tomorrow. Just shocked. So thank you to all the people who have subscribed and watched that, and a huge part of the success of the channel, I have no doubt, is because of the guests, the people. I constantly hear that. Like, I fucking love when you have roundtables and bring people on. And you'll realize most of the videos, very few of the videos are me just by myself. So I'm appreciative of you two and all the other guys, Brian and Metal Mike and Ryan and Jay and Mariah and Jason and all that. So the fact that this kind of shit is happening on this YouTube channel is just shocking to me. So tomorrow I'm going to interview Ricky, and while I'm doing it, I'll be thinking I can't believe how lucky I am that this thing is doing what it is doing. So that's my number one.
Good for you, man. We're proud of you.
I
You're
just want to say
keeping the torch lit, my brother.
I just want to say congratulations, because look where you are from the
Yep.
start of this channel, from that first video to now.
Right.
And it's almost a weekly thing that you have amazing interview people coming on. Your interview that you posted today was really riveting. It didn't, you never once looked at the clock and went, wow, it's been 2 hours. It was such a
Exactly.
great interview. And I'm jealous beyond jealous that you're going to talk to my favorite rock star in the world. But
Right.
kill it, man.
Oh,
You're going to do awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish you good luck tomorrow as well, man. We're proud of you.
Yep. Yep. So it's happening tomorrow at 1, and fuck. Yeah. So
Fuck yeah.
anyway, yeah, super pumped. And I'll try to get that out. I'm hoping to get it out Friday because I don't want to sit on it. Like I want to get it and get it out. So
Get it out. Yeah.
I don't have a time. They didn't give me a time limit, so I'm gonna do what I do and hope that he'll go on for a long time. So we'll see what happens. Anyway,
Absolutely.
that brings us to the end of 10 things I think about Poison. Hey, let us know your comments. Tell us, where we were right or wrong about the things that we said, and tell us about the things that we missed. What are some of the things that you think about this iconic hair metal band? With that, it's time to say goodbye to our guests, Jeremy, drummer from the band Abrasion and drummer for City to City, that we're hoping to hear some Rat tribute music coming from. So, Jeremy, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yeah, just an honor, man. Honor and a privilege. Jace wanted me to give you a shout out tonight, my son. He's proud of you with how many viewers you have. He said, tell him I'm proud of him. He follows it religiously, has notifications on. So he wanted to say that, but thanks for having me on and let me be a part of the success that you're enjoying. I'm just so proud of you, man. So thank you.
Oh, man, thank you. I'm almost fucking ready to blush or something. Jeez. Patrick, I'll be honest, fucking Patrick is probably the hair metal guru because that fucker knows, like, I'm continuously follow him on X and he'll be like, so back in 1994 when this was happening, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck, how do you know all that shit? So
Yeah.
anyway, the guy's hair metal knowledge is unmatched. He's a great fucking dude. It's a pleasure to have you on. Patrick, thanks for being on.
Dude, ditto. It's a pleasure being a part of something. You're truly connecting with an audience, and you're truly bringing this music back. And it was the greatest time of some of our lives. And having this channel to watch, having Brian, all those people, it's such a team effort, and it's making a difference in people's lives. I don't just say that; it truly is. So thank you for having me on, and I'll come back anytime you ever want me to.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Hey, follow him on X. Follow me on X. Every Saturday, I'll be hosting Hair Metal Mansion on Rock 101 KLOL from 6 to 8 Central Time. And hey, you have the opportunity to become a member. It costs a little bit, but you get some early access to videos. You get first response to comments. Whatever you can do to support the channel, I just appreciate you being here. Until the next video comes out, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Take care of yourselves.